What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today, Bankrupt once again by Jake and Adam.
What's going on, y'all?
Hello, everyone.
In today's matchup, well, it's me versus Jake. I've brought Veku / Gogeta, and Jake has brought back... I want to get the 16 energy Beerus.
Yeah, I mean, they've printed a lot of new good blue stuff recently, and I figured that some of it slotted into Beerus pretty well.
Yeah.
So,
And especially with the new Z battle cards, I think it just makes things so much better as well. Oh, yeah, there's buttons below, there's links. Feel free to click them there for a reason. And let's get into it.
first things first, Bancroft and I are using the same sleeves for this matchup.
Yeah. Also wanted to point out, I think right here, I think we just missed it, but yeah, you're like, you put your hand down and then you start putting your life. I'm like, are you just going blind? Like, yeah. You're like, no, wait, never mind. No, none of these cards are good.
Yeah.
So I had double checked the leader because I wanted to make sure at what point do I stop taking damage, and it was once I'm at 4 life. So I was like, okay, cool. Then I'm safe. I can still awaken. And even though, I can get to a point where I can use super combos effectively. Because that was my main concern. I was like, man, if he keeps me at a point where I can't do anything, I'm screwed.
And if you've ever seen me play this Beerus deck, the getting to 16 energy is really secondary. I'm just looking to ramp on turn 2, and then from there, kind of leverage that extra energy into bigger and bigger battle cards and just win the game in a more traditional manner.
And this Beerus is really good actually at sniping the field. And I loosely talked about this in our Let's Talk About Stuff video on Sunday. It's very frustrating. Like, I liked Veku Gogeta. It reminds me a lot of Gotenks. The problem with it, though, is that there's no protection. There's no recovery. Like in Gotenks, there's recovery plays. Like, if they pop something, fine. It's not a problem. But Beerus on the front side, I think it removes a 2 or less card from your opponent's field. Either top decks, bottom decks, or drop area. It just does something with it. And so I couldn't play a 1-drop right away, because as soon as you swing, you just choose to get Rivet, so I can't even establish anything from that point on. Then, once you awaken, it's 3 or less, which then hits this tier 2 chains of my cards. And then the Whis hits 4 or less, I think. So, like, that's chain 3 of a lot of the cards that play in this deck. So now I have to rely on, if I want to go up any of the chains, I gotta go up the chains in the same turn, and I gotta get rid of this Whis first, so that way my 4-drops will stay. Or I need to focus going to the 6-drops and just stick that and have to worry about comboing cards off. So now at this point, I'm kind of sitting back on some of my leader's abilities, because I get benefits from playing cards from my Z, or EX volume from my Z energy. I get effects for playing these cards from my hand, the fusion pieces, or the fusion cards. So here you see I'm just swinging, comboing card, and I think I just pass because I can't reliably get anything else on the board. Maybe?
Yeah, I mean, you play a 1-drop and do some searching here, which isn't really bad because the card theoretically will replace itself. So even if I choose to remove it, it's kind of like you're denying me a draw, because I have to not draw a card in order to use that effect on my leader. But one thing that I just kind of wanted to mention is that all of those challenges you were explaining a second ago are just secondary effects on cards that I'm going to play anyway, or just exist on my leader. So for no additional energy, I'm getting all of this pressure just by doing nothing outside of my normal gameplay route. This is a very hard matchup for Veku.
Yes. And I even said, I'm like, if I pull this off, this is going to be like a miracle. Because I just feel like no matter what I did or whatever I was establishing, you were taking care of it. And you see here, I went ahead and swing it anyways, expecting it to be gone, just to put a card in my combo.
Yeah. Just another thing is that this Whis at 9k threatens your leader on the front side, which isn't really like the way that this Whis is designed by being a 9k. It's not really supposed to threaten the opponent, but I'm just going to get a ton of value out of this card this game.
And I did whiff on the Bulma promo card, which, fun fact, I pulled that before we started tonight's spin, so I was able to kind of get that into my deck beforehand, which is nice. Only one of, but I felt like I needed to. I could have held on to it a little bit longer and cracked it later, but I just want to get extra resources in my hand. because I already pulled a Gogeta from the leader swing, because the leader will on swing top 5 or 7 cards. It's Vegeta, Goku, or Gogeta. Energy cost 6 or less. Add it to your hand. And when you establish the Boo use, I'm like, okay, that's a problem now, because if I were to go into the Gogeta, I now have to wait. I have to take care of your Majin Buu first, because if I don't, then you're just minusing 1 and get rid of it before I get any of its effects. Because even though it can't be KO'd, Majin Buu's not KOing it, it's just placing it.
Yeah, it's just even more pressure to your Gogeta chain. And at this point in the game, I was kind of noticing that a lot of stuff I was doing was just pretty much hard sticking you where you were. So I decided to spend the turn playing this Boo Unison and just kind of furthering the lock.
Yeah.
I've got a few cards in my hand that kind of lean me towards playing this into a more late game scenario.
And here, I've had to, and this is based on the cards I've drawn, I've had to charge 2 Gokus. I've already played 1 Goku as well, and this is my 4th Goku, 1-drop Goku.
Well, it's the 3rd copy because I put it back on top of the deck, right?
So you put it back on top of my deck. Okay, yes, never mind. But using the... Hang on. That might have been a misplay, and I might have been thinking of the Bulma when I did that. Because I need to double check. I think the Goku only pulls a Goku or a Vegeta to my hand. I might have misplayed on that. My bad.
Yeah, that's alright. Let me get this. I think we can all agree that these 1-drops, if they can't grab the Gogeta pieces, they certainly should have been able to.
I go ahead and Awaken because you got me down to the right amount of life for it as well. And like I said, I'm just swinging to your leader to just get rid of a marker, get cards into my Z energy. And what I was going to get onto real quick is that I put a Dispo into my drop, which allows me to start a chain up without having to expend any energy. Because Dispo will, if I board is empty, I could play a 1-drop from my drop area of the skills negate return, and then I just EX evolve on top of that card from here on out. So that was kind of the mindset there.
Yeah, it's a good way for you to generate value without opening a lot of windows for me to interact with it, especially now that God Sealing is out of the game.
Bancroft, are you mainboarding Blue Impulse?
No.
Or is it okay?
I cited Blue Impulse in for the idea of if he were to play Baby's Minion Gohan or the Ready to Rumble Vegeta, any of those cards he could play as a negate during my turn. I could tap 2 and just remove anything he has on the board from that point on. But my hand, as good as it might have been, there was just too many cards I needed to keep, and I was like, this card's gone. I have no other choice but to remove this card entirely. So I just charged it instead, just to keep the cards in my hand.
Yeah, and this turn, I'm just, like, if you see what's going on here, drawing a card from Leader Swing, drawing from Pan, I'm going to draw from this Ape and draw from Boo. I'm shooting up, like, 4 cards in hand right here.
And here I was able to establish the... Oh, I just go straight into that negate. I thought I did Weecius Capricious. Okay.
No.
Yeah, so I did misplay on that Goku. I thought, like, I'm not sure why I pulled the Gogeta in my hand, but yeah, it's supposed to be a Son Goku BR or Vegeta BR. Energy cost 6 or less. So I might have been thinking the either the leader effect for some reason. I'm not sure what it was. I do apologize for that.
And this Boo should be in active mode. I think we catch it.
Yeah, you stand right there.
Something I love about this Beerus deck is I think this is one of those decks that's going to come back every single set with new tech, because it just feels like there's more in every single set. There's good blue cards you can shove into the deck, kind of like a Bulma or a Launch as well for red. It's just, I love that about this card game, that you could take some of the older leaders that will just constantly get revamped because new support that isn't meant for the deck comes out.
Oh yeah, like. We've kind of been bereft of generic leaders lately, but I really think the Reboot leaders are a good place for those good generic leaders to live. Like Reboot Bulma, let's go.
So, all my Z energy was building up to this moment here, and when you put bottom deck a card underneath Majbu, I was kind of annoyed because then I had to expend another Z energy just to remove it. Even though the Jiren was safe from the Boo, like you couldn't -1 it away. I just had to get rid of it, and that way, if you want to bring it back, you have to expend 4 energy just to establish it.
Yeah. I was kind of sensing a big hand disparity, so I figured that just chucking that card for an extra marker wasn't that bad of a play, forgetting that this Jiren exists. And if you noticed, when this thing came out, it wiped my entire board. This was a really big swing and really let Bancroft get back in the game.
Yeah, literally, I had to pivot. I was like, okay, I need to get rid of the Unison and then start applying pressure. But I had to make sure that I didn't, like, I could have established a Gogeta this turn to, like, so I'm not even getting all my Ludus effects because I can't, I'm afraid of playing the lower cost cards for you just immediately just get rid of them right afterwards, or expending all my energy to play a Gogeta that you could potentially remove because it can't be KO'd by skills, but you could still remove it with skills. Sorry, you could still, it can't be KO'd, but you can still place it in other areas.
Yeah. And here I'm just going to try and attack into this Jiren, especially because I'm going to get a free restand on this guy at the end of the turn anyway.
Here it is, the Lucius Capricious, I think. Yeah. Which is free as long as you have a Vegeta and a Goku in your Z energy, and those have to be 2 separate cards, which I do have the duo card, and I have 1 Goku as well, so that kind of achieves that purpose. And I do have to discard a card as well. I think the card I discard was actually the Gogeta I picked up earlier from the Goku by accident.
And here I opt to give the dual attacker barrier just because I'm out of pans in the deck. And here I probably should have swung with lead to draw another card, but he could have just let me ramp instead of taking damage. So I figured it was kind of more poignant to swing with the Piccolo and pressure him a little bit here.
So going to turn 5, I charged that. I could have held on to that card for a later game purpose, but if I needed to maximize my turn, I have to more or less go for the throat, and if I don't see a way of me winning. So I need to make sure I had as much energy as possible. And here I'm trying to figure out, is it better to play, like, to Z-Awaken to play another battle card? So I overwhelmed to get rid of your blocker just to snipe that away, so that way it's not a problem. That way I can go into my swings just fine. And if you were to potentially play a blocker negate, I still have ways of dealing with that card during my turn. Veku Gogeta has a lot of good ways of removing cards, but if you don't sequence your turn correctly and the idea of expecting your opponent to play with negates like that, then you may end up just kind of blowing your load beforehand. And here I comboed off this card, which is great time because if I didn't, you would have removed it for me.
Pretty good heads up play there, knowing to get that 5k combo value because I'm going to run 4 copies of Beerus Destroys in a Beerus deck.
Yeah. So here I'm coming with another dispo. Get that into my... I think I put it in my Z energy just to pitch it later. Because I do want to Z-Awaken, because I think I get more effects from playing certain cards when I Z-Awaken than I do with holding up. Because like, if I were to, like, say, play Gogeta now, I think it's just to draw 1 card. But if I'm Z-Awaken and I play an EX Evolve card for my Z energy, or if I play a fusion card, a card with fusion, a Gogeta Br with fusion, I draw 2 and discard 1, or I make my opponent discard a card, I think. So I want to maximize on the draw 2, discard 1 card. So that way I am just seeing my options.
Yeah, I think you made a comment at the table, like, there's really no point in making you rip one out of hand. And I was like, yeah, I've got an ape in hand. So you rip it, I'm just going to draw 2 on my turn.
And I needed discard a card. Wait for the discard real quick. I don't remember what I discard. Okay, a 1-drop Goku, which was the last 1-drop Goku. So what's great about this Gogeta is that you do have barriers, who I can't hit your Piccolo on the swings here, but it is a dual attacker, and it's a 25k. So with what low hand I have, I need to just rely on you do things, and you negating it hurt a little bit.
Yeah, this card is just so solid, and because it and my Piccolo currently have barrier, I felt like I was pretty safe from blue impulse.
So you tapped out here. Okay, I feel a little bit comfortable now. I'm activating the activate main on my Gogeta, which I placed the 6-drop from my battlefield to the Z energy that was ruled that way. And then on its play, it moves a barrier card, so I was able to kind of snipe out your defensive defender there.
Yep. And then I had to pitch one, which is why you see the ape in the drop area now.
And he is a double strike. He is 30, I think 30. And I went ahead and combo with this Goku Vegeta, kind of putting down to 2 life. And I'm just double checking, I think, the auto. And the Goku Vegeta card here for 1 energy. I think I have like 3 energy. I could play this card. It will pop a card, but you have barrier. It's a 5k combo. So now it's a 20k double strike. And this is me like, I have to complete this match. Like, I have to finish the match. And you hatch. I'm like, great. I got 3 cards in my hand, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you said, I think you said afterwards, was that one the life card from that last double strike?
Mm-hmm.
That
so
sucks
hatch
so
I
bad.
got off of the life on the Gogeta swing. So this was just an all-around unlucky game for you.
I mean, I think we talked about afterwards. I had the super combo and 2 other cards, I think, to combo with, so I would have only gotten up to like 40k. And I think we talked about it. You felt comfortable that you could have comboed out of that still, even though you were tapped out, because you had a fat hand.
Oh yeah, a slight misplay there. I probably just should have put that card in the energy, considering my next play was turning the tide. But I think we were making comments at the table that the game's locked up at this point.
Yeah, and playing turning the tides gets rid of this. You crit me, and then it comes down to I have no hands, so you swing with a 20k. I'm forced to take it, and then you swing with 40k. And of course, it wasn't anything important, and that was game.
Yeah. Turning the Tide is very strong. A lot of people call for it to be banned, and 1 week I say yes, and 1 week I say no. And after a game like that, this is a week where I probably say yes.
Before we end the video, it's one of those cards I don't think it needs to get banned, because in most cases, most decks don't go up to turn 7 anymore, and only the ones that actually have the ability to ramp. So it's only really preferable, or it's only really good against in Beerus, because you're able to get up there so quickly, or in your deck that allows you to ramp. But I should have sided in my Jiren. I do sideboard 1 Jiren in this deck, and I completely forgot about Turning Tide. I was so focused on the idea of what blue can do and how to stop blue from affecting me, and then I saw your leader. I'm like, oh, I forgot you. This is going to be an uphill battle for the rest of the match. So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Keep in mind, there's buttons, there's links. Thanks for being here, guys, and have a good one.